Welcome, welcome, welcome. Simba again here. Hope everything is good. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much. Dust Ball is here and we're here to have some conversation. So massive shout out to the eyes them for your support. Please engage with me in the comment section. We're going to have a conversation today. Another one, right? Like DJ Khaled. Please don't forget to subscribe, like the video, share. We're trying to make a difference, right? We're not chasing clout, right? We're trying to have meaningful conversations that can help the community, can help, but anyone, to be honest, to move forward, right? So today we're going to have a conversation about corporate America, the idea that we were sold growing up. Now, obviously, I'm Jamaican, right? So growing up, you were sold this idea of corporate America or what your life should be like, and it was almost as if there's a section of society that that expressed if you're not working in an office, then you would have failed that life. That was almost the idea you were sold. At least I think I was sold growing up. So let's talk about that, right? Let's have a talk about corporate America, the lifestyle, the idea that we were sold. Know that I'm here and I'm in it. I've been in it over a decade now. My perception of it. So let's get into it. All right. So at 30, well, we'll be 35 this year. So that should give you an idea as to how long I've been in the market, in the workforce, right? Moved to the States in my very, very early 20s. Almost immediately went into corporate America, right? And it is so interesting. I'm going to start out the conversation by saying, yo, it's not it. It took me entering or being involved in corporate America, working my way up and through and, getting promoted and bonuses and rate salary increases and all of that to realize that corporate America is not it. No, don't get me wrong. There are some very good things about it. A lot of the times you make good money, you have good benefits. A lot of the times the jobs are somewhat secure, you know, depending on the industry you're working in. Um, again, it comes with good benefits. The financial package, when you compare it to what others in other industries are making, isn't necessarily the worst, right? But when you talk about the sacrifices that you make just to be successful in that role, is it really worth it? Right? So let's talk about it. Corporate America is corporate America. That's what it is. So there are always going to be goals, there are always going to be expectations, oftentimes extremely unrealistic. Zane, talk about it. That then causes you to stress because, of course, you don't want to fail at your job. You want to maximize your ability to get as much increase in salary as you can, so you can continue to elevate your quality of life, provide a good or a better life for your family, help out loved ones, feel financially stable. That's the goal, right? That's the driving factor, the money. And oftentimes we're so focused on the money that we forget really what really gives one quality of life. Is it money? Of course, money helps. Money helps tremendously. But is it just money? How many of us have been in a situation where we're working until the wee hours of the morning, hardly spend any time with your wife or your kid that day, just because you had to finish up work, you had some extra things to do? How many of us have ever gone around the computer and said, "Oh, I'm just going to check my emails. I'm just going to check this one thing." And then 5 hours later, you're still there. Probably even on a weekend sometimes, or on a day off. How many of us have gotten trapped into that whole thing? Corporate America, as I would say, is a farce, in my opinion. Because you work your tail end, you work. The stress levels are extremely high. The deadlines, the expectations are oftentimes almost impossible, right? And at what cost? At what cost? Now, there was a time growing up, and this is so funny that I say this right now. There was a time growing up, you used to, I grew up in Kingston, went to a high school in Kingston, right? And you would see the higglers. We call them higglers. I'm not sure how Americans would term them, but we call higglers are people who are they're vendors, really, in Jamaica. They work for themselves. They sell whatever they can. A lot of them stay. Most of them tend to stay within a specific group or only sell a specific type of thing. So you have vendors who only sell clothes and shoes. You have vendors who sell food items, farm produce. You have other vendors who will sell technology-based things, phones, iPads, whatever. You know what I mean? What we call them higglers. And you would walk by a higgler in Jamaica, and you would never say it, but it was almost the perception is that okay, these people didn't do well at school. They didn't do well in school, and they've been forced to become higglers. I think everyone would agree with me. That's the overall perception. And it wasn't until very, very recently I realized that these people they're entrepreneurs. Like literally, they may not have the paperwork. They may not be a legitimate business in the eyes of the government, and they may not be paying the taxes that they're supposed to. But most of them, pretty much all of them, control their own time. So if they decide I'm not going out to sell today, there's no one there to force them. No, there are things that come with that, right? And those choices. Your income may not be as high as that of a corporate person or as consistent, because as you know, it's sales. You can't predict sales really. You can try to do a forecast and things may always work out or even itself out, but the consistency of money is not always there in those types of jobs, right? But the freedom, think about it. I remember growing up, man. The youth them, there were guys, and I went to a prominent high school in Jamaica that, in my opinion, didn't necessarily, and even though they provided the facility and the resources for students to go into the technical side of the workforce, so the plumbing and the carpentry and the metal work and stuff like that. Even though they provided such resources, it was almost as if it was inferred that just the done spinning them do that. If I'm being completely honest with you, if you weren't doing biology and chemistry and physics and principle of accounting and principle of business and economics and history and sociology, if you weren't doing that, it's almost as if you didn't meet, you didn't fit the bill, you didn't meet the levels that were expected of you. How many of those guys right now are running their own carpentry shops, plumbing businesses, working for themselves, probably making more money than people in corporate America. And the freedom, that is the most important thing I want you to focus on in this whole conversation. What corporate America robs you of is your freedom of your time, your freedom that comes with time. A lot of the times it comes with your opinions. You're not, because as you know, the agenda thing is big. You say one thing out of turn, you may be written up, you may be fired because you're too much of a liability. As good as a worker you might be, sometimes you could be too much of a liability to a company. So them decide, say, I'm going to let him go. You know, he has opinions that are a bit too outlandish. You know, so your time is being robbed. And the worst part about it, you have no control. They tell you when you need to come in. They tell you when you leave. Most of the time, they tell you when you take lunch and when you take a break. So for those 8 hours, assuming you only work 8 hours, you're controlled by the corporation. Imagine that. When even though a man who is a higgler downtown may not be making as much money, but if he decides at 12 o'clock, hey, I'm going to leave and go watch my daughter a sports day today, he has that right. Us, a lot of us have to apply for the time, request it, request PTO, and the job has to approve it. Is that the life? What is your freedom really worth? Farce. Corporate America. Honestly, it is a farce. And we've been tricked into going into corporate America, playing that game, putting the extra work. Here's that a trick. Your schedule, you're supposed to work 8 hours, right? And they give you, let's just say they give you 10 hours worth of work to complete in 8 hours. Knowing you can't complete it. So you're forced now to work for free because a lot of us were salaried. They like to use that term, salaried employees. So we're not entitled to overtime, right? So you're supposed to do extra work on your free time. Can you imagine that? So you have to finish the 10 hours worth of work in 8 hours. If not, do it on your free time. So imagine that. Is that life? Is it really worth it? And the stress levels, at least the higgler, he's active. He's lifting product. He's on the road trying to procure customers. Come here, man. He's walking to the restaurant to buy his lunch. He's active, burning energy, burning calories. Probably not eating as much as you, but definitely more active because, one, he doesn't have the money to eat as much. Two, a lot of the times they don't even have time. They're so busy trying to secure a sale. But that benefits him and his health and his well-being in the long run. When most of us are just sitting around tables, getting fatter and fatter. And this day, Jill bringing in donuts. Next day, Mike brings in a cake because it's Mandy's birthday. 5 years later, we're all overweight. Corporate America, really? A lot of the times, that's the life of majority of the people in corporate America. Here's the next thing. What I'm realizing, no, I never had a chance to establish a career in Jamaica, so I'm not sure what it is like. So all of my entire career or work life started in the United States. So I'm not going to speak from a Jamaican perspective, if I'm being honest with you, right? Because I've never worked really. I worked jobs in Jamaica, but I never had a career. But what I'm realizing here, there are hardly any leaders in these corporations. A lot of these companies are companies of templates and habits. So somebody implemented from 25 years ago, this is how we do it and this is how we do it, regardless as to how things change. right? Regardless of the situation, this is how we do it. Don't question it. Right? Or even if you do question it, there's nothing will be done about it because this is how we've done it. It works for us, even if it doesn't make a lot of sense or prohibits efficiency. This is just how we do it, and we're going to continue to do it this way. Right? It's templates. Everything is a template. Follow the template. There's hardly any independent thought. What I'm realizing, instructions are passed from the top down, and we're just expected to follow. If you ever question the instructions too harshly, then you're deemed to be insubordinate. And then you're labeled, and then you apply for the promotion. You're never ever given it because you're labeled as that difficult employee. You're not a sheep. It's hard to be a leader in corporate America. It is so hard. You know? So, is that the life we thought we were walking into? A lot of us thought because we saw it, we watched it on Disney. Jacket and tie. You come home and you know the life, the nuclear family, wife is home, and the kids them come hug you up, daddy, But what really happens, you come home and you go right in your office, go and finish work, and then by the time you quit, it's 9:00, and your kids are in bed, and then you're done. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I can't believe I was in there for so long. And your wife has gotten so used to it that it's like, oh yeah, babe, no problem. But that happens in corporate America. Most people in corporate America, that happen. Is that the life for real? Not the life I want. Promise you that. So I'm going to go. You don't know, I don't like to drag on and talk for too long, but think about it. Think about your goals. The job that you're in now, is that the job you always wanted to do? Why not at least try to look into what you really wanted to do and see if you can accomplish it? Why not? Why not? We're only here for a short time. Act on it. Please don't procrastinate. Anyways, we're going to go. Just giving you guys a reminder. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. My name is Simba. This is Dust Bowl. We're going to, it's very possible. No, you know what? Let me leave that for next video. Thank you so much for your support. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Like the video, as I said, share it. Simba is out. Peace.